All right, 2.6. Now we're going to be simplifying expressions with rational exponents. So just a reminder, okay? X to the fourth, x to the fifth, multiply them, keep the base, add the exponents, that's going to be x to the ninth. Well, same idea here with fractions, but going back to, years ago in math, if I just told you add 2/3 and 1/4, you have to find a common denominator. I like to write these this way and then convert and find a common denominator over here. So the common denominator for 3 and 4 is going to be 12. 3 times 4, so 2 times 4. 4 times 3, 1 times 3. And that's going to be now 8 plus 3, 11 twelfths. Okay? So the same concept as what you've done in grade school with adding fractions. You need to have a common denominator, but now those fractions just happen to be exponents. So next one, a little bit more work. So we have our numbers first, 6 times 3, that's 18. Then we have x to the 1/2 and x to the 3/4. Now you may want to just change this right here, like 1/2 becomes 2/4. That might be easy if you want to do it that way. So 2/4 and 3/4 is 5/4, and you can leave them as an improper fraction. And then 2/5 and 2/3, you can change it right there. If you want to go off to the side, you can even just do the fractions and not have to worry about the exponents. And that's going to be 15. 5 times 3, 2 times 3, 3 times 5, 2 times 5, and that's going to be y to the 16/15. All right, again, if this is going too fast, you can slow down, rewind, pause it. Subtracting. So before, what we did was we subtracted. I also said, just look and see where you have more, and then that's the answer. So where do I have more in this one? Well, I have more on the bottom, and I have 6 more. And I put a 1 there to save the place. Now remember, technically I would have done x to the -6, and then I just have to remember to move it down because we don't have negative exponents allowed. But I like to just do it that way. So in this one, again, same concept. We have 4/5 on the top. We have 1/2 on the bottom. We need a common denominator to subtract. Now it's going to be 10. Okay? So 5 times 2, 4 times 2. 2 times 5, 1 times 5. And then it's simply, where do I have more? Top or bottom? On top. 8 minus 5 is 3, so that's 3/10. Okay? If it would have been vice versa, and the 1/2 was on top, then my answer would have been 1/3. That's the only difference. So now here, I'm going to reduce my fraction first, like I did in the previous lesson. So 2 goes into 22 11 times, which is prime, so we're done. And 16, 8 times. Now, my x's, I don't know where it's going to go. Off to the side, I'm just going to do 1/2 and 2/3. This can be anywhere I want. That's going to be 6, common denominator. 2 times 3, 1 times 3. 3 times 2, 2 times 2. So, 3, 6, and 4, 6. Where do I have more? On the bottom. How many more? 1/6. 4 minus 3 is 1. Now again, if I did it the other way, I would have done 3 minus 4 and had -1/6 on the top, and I'd have to remember to move it to the bottom. It doesn't matter. And this one's quite easy because 3 goes into 6. So this is just 2/6. I can just change that right there. And then ask myself, where do I have more? Well, I have 5/6 on the top, 3/6 on the bottom. Sorry, 2/6. Where do I have more? On the top, 5 minus 2 is 3, which is 6. All right. Technically, I'd want to reduce that to 1/2. So 11y to the 1/2 over 8x to the 1/6. And if you wanted to, you were doing this in your paper, you could just erase that and change it to 1/2. It's up to you. Whatever's easier. If you like to show your work, leave it that way. Whatever you want. All right, power to power, we talked about before. We just multiply, so x to the 2/4. 2 times 4 is x to the 8th. Okay, now remember, here, we're doing the same thing. We're going to multiply 2/3 times 1/3, but We don't need a common denominator. And remember, it's top times top, bottom times bottom. So this is not going to say thirds. This is going to become 2/9. So be careful with that. Right. Don't forget there's a 1 on the 9. So I'm going to have 9 to the 1/2. Okay. 3 times 1/2 is 3/2. And 1/3 times 1/2, top times top, bottom times bottom. And the only thing I'm going to clean up here is this, because that's the same thing as this, 9 to the 1/2, right? So that's the square root of 9, which is 3, x to the 3/2, y to the 1/6. And that's it. Okay. Mixing it all up. Make sure all fractions are reduced, which I've already talked about, and no negative exponents. So, my number first. 14 and 24 both have a 2. So 7 and 12. 7's prime, so we're done. Now, there's a lot going on here. X has 1/2 and 2/3, but I'm going to be moving the x's up top because it's negative. So I'm actually going to be doing 2/3 plus 1/2. Now, we need a common denominator, so that's going to be 6. 3 times 2, 2 times 2, 2 times 3, 1 times 3, and that's going to be x to the 7/6 on the top. Now my y's, I don't know where it's going to go. So I have 2/5 and 1/4. Well, 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay, so 5 times 4, 2 times 4. 4 times 5, 1 times 5. So I have 8 20ths on the top, 5 20ths on the bottom. Where do I have more? Still on top. How many more? 3 20ths. And that's my answer. All right, here, remember this is a 1. So the 2/3 goes here, here, and here. So that's going to be 64 to the 2/3. Remember, that's the same thing as this. Okay. Now let's just simplify that right now. So the cube root of 64 is 4. So this is the same thing as 4 squared, which is 16. That's done. Now my variables. So I'm going to put my x, 2/3 times 1/2, so top times top, bottom times bottom, which reduces to 1/3. Now if you think about it, if you went off to the side and wrote this like this, you would see that the 2's cancel, and you could get to that 1/3 right away. It's up to you. I'll leave it here like this, and I'll bring it down and simplify right here. All right? And then 3/2 and 2/3. Again, maybe you'll notice this time, after the first time you didn't catch it, if, it happens. The 2's cancel. Oh, but look, the 3's cancel also. They are reciprocals. So that just leaves y to the 1. And we're done. 16x to the 1/3, y. Okay, multiplication, 3 times 8 is 24. Easy peasy. Now my x's. This is a 1. This is a 3/4. Well, 1 is the same as 4/4. So what I have is 3/4 and 4/4. Keep the base, add the exponents, so that's x to the 7/4. Y to the 1/5 and y to the 1/2. Well, 1/5 and 1/2, I need to find a common denominator of 10. 5 times 2, 1 times 2. 2 times 5, 1 times 5. Keep the base, add the exponents, that's y to the 7/10. That's my answer. All right, number 10, a lot going on here. So I'm going to take 1/2 to both my numbers. 1/2 is just square root. So that's basically the square root of 25 over the square root of 9. Save a little time right there. Now I'm going to multiply. X to the 1/3, x to the 1/2. Keep the base, add the exponents. Sorry, my bad. Not there yet. Multiply top times top, 1, bottom times bottom, 6. 2 over 1 times 1/2. Half of 2 is 1, so that's simply just y. I'm going to do it to the bottom now. 5, 6, and 1/2. I'm just going to call them off to the side here and do this. 5, 6, and 1/2. So top times top, bottom times bottom. There you go. Y, negative 3/4. Well, I am going to be multiplying negative 3/4 times 1/2, which is going to give me negative 3 over 6. Okay? Sorry, 8. Negative 3 over 8. Which is going to have to move up here. Okay? So now we're going to clean this up a little bit. So my 5 and 3, just say 5 and 3. 1/6 and 5/12. Well, 1/6 is pretty easy. That's 2/12. All right? So 2/12 and 5/12. Where do I have more? I have more on the bottom. Okay? 5 minus 2 is 3/12, which simplifies to 1/4. And if you wrote 3/12 and then erased it and changed it, or 3/12 and you wrote it again and simplified it, it's up to you. Now my y's. This is 1. But remember, 1 is 2 over 2, 3 over 3, 4 over 4. I need 8s. So this is really 8/8. I'm moving the 3/8 up, which means I'm going to add them. Or technically, if you use the subtraction method, it'd be 8 minus negative 3, which is plus. So that would be y to the 11/8. Again, if that's too fast, you need to slow it down, or maybe rewind and watch it again, or rewind and watch it again slower. Do what you need to do for you to understand it. All right. So if you have radicals, change them to rationals first. So remember, this is 1/2. And this is 1/3. Well, keep the base, add the exponents. So we go off to the side or to the bottom, 1/2, 1/3. Common denominator, keep the base, add the exponents. 2 times 3, 1 times 3, 3 times 2, 1 times 2. That's x to the 5/6. Okay? Up here I have 2 to the 2/3. And this is 1/2. So again, I need to find a common denominator for 2/3 and 1/2. That's going to be 6. 3 times 2, 2 times 2. 2 times 3, 1 times 3. So I have 4 6 on the top, 3 6 on the bottom. Where do I have more? On the top. How many more? 1/6. Okay, so here, this is x to the 2/5 to the 3rd power. And then I'm just going to multiply 3 over 1, top times top, bottom times bottom, x to the 6/5. And that is all for this section.